Welcome to the NWR Aussie Resources Conference. Next up, we have Bindi Metals. Bindi Metals are a copper gold exploration company up there in Queensland at the very famous Biloela. Now, I'm not even sure I pronounced that correctly, Henry, but I tried. Most of you will know they've been in the headlines at the refugee family who are beautifully now relocated back there, but it's not all about them. It's now about copper and gold. Joining me today is Henry Renou. He is the the executive director of Bindi Metals. Henry, good to see you. Exciting times for the company. Let's hear what you're up to up there.
Sure, sounds good. Well, thank you all for taking the time to listen to this presentation. So as Kerry was saying, I'm the executive director and exploration manager of Bindi Metals. And our main project is the Biloela copper gold project in central Queensland. So that's just the typical disclaimer. You can read.
We'll test them all at the end.
Yeah. So Bindi in a nutshell, we've been pretty active since our listing in June, the successful IPO, and to date we've done a program of soil and rock chip sampling as well as some drone aeromagnetics surveys. And to date, this has confirmed the high-grade nature of outcropping mineralization at the project, with up to 13 grams per tonne gold and 12% copper at surface. And this is coincident with a 1 by 3 by 1 by 2 kilometre magnetic anomaly that was confirmed in the drone survey. And importantly, this is located quite close to the Mount Coninda project, which is Coninda Resources, with recent drilling of over 1,000 metres at 0.5% copper equivalent. So Bindi corporate structure, 31 million shares on issue with 10 million options at a share price of around 22 cents at the moment. So we've got about $4 million in the bank and we're well funded for the next 12 months of exploration. And our code is BIM if anyone wishes to find out more. So the geology of the Biloela Project. It's located 90 kilometres southwest of Gladstone and is about 20 kilometres from the township of Biloela, with a major highway intersecting the project. It's part of the New England orogenic belt, which hosts Cadia in New South Wales and extends up into central Queensland. Importantly, the host rocks for the project are Permo-Triassic diorites, which host mineralization in Biloela, and which is also coincident with mineralization at Mount Coninda of the same age, and Mount Rawdon, which is 100 kilometres to the south. So it's very similar in styles of mineralization and age. So major prospects at the Biloela project been defined with the recent surveys as well as historical work done on the project. But we can see the widespread copper gold anomalism is coincident with that central magnetic high, which is kind of on the figure there, which is a bit obscured, but the central magnetic high, yeah, is related to the copper gold anomalism defined in soils as well as the outcropping mineralization. And at Flanagan's, which is one of the main prospects, we've got up to 13 grams per tonne gold and 5% copper at surface, coincident with high-grade soil anomalies, copper gold soil anomalies, for over 1.5 kilometres. And importantly, there's an extension which was defined in the new soil program for another 1 kilometre extending out from Flanagan's. In the southern flank of the central magnetic high, you can see in that figure, is the Great Blackall trend and the northern and eastern extension of that trend, which is where most of the historical drilling has been focused. But also our recent soils has extended that zone for over 2 kilometres. And outcropping mineralisation up to 12% copper and 9 grams per tonne gold, as well as historical intercepts of 2 metres at 9% copper and 2 grams per tonne gold. So as I was saying before, our recent soil and rock chip sampling results have been very encouraging for the company, and has defined 8 new high priority target areas. In a regional perspective, this forms a copper gold intrusive core that is coincident with that magnetic high structure. And this is very similar to other deposits in the region, such as the 2.5 million ounce Mount Rawdon deposit. So the company is targeting bulk tonnage copper gold deposits, and we've utilised drone magnetics to get detailed magnetic response across the project. And importantly, this has defined a large-scale intrusion-related copper gold system. Importantly, this is very typical of porphyry-like signatures within well-known global deposits, such as the Alumbrera porphyry in Argentina, which we can see on that figure on the right-hand side. In the Alumbrera example, the high-grade mineralization is focused around a central magnetic high with a demagnetized outer zone in a classic donut-like feature. And this is very common in porphyry deposits. And as we can see in the left-hand side image at the Biloela Project, a number of the high priority projects are all situated around the magnetic high with a demagnetized outer zone. So this is very exciting for the company, and we'll be testing this in the upcoming drill program. So I'll go into detail a bit more about the Flanagan's trend, which is a high priority target for the company. And within the drone magnetics, we can see a northwest southeast trending structure along a 1.5 kilometre trend, and outcropping mineralization is coincident with this structure, as well as high-grade soil anomalies, gold soil anomalies, as well as coincident with copper. And the extension of this trend is for over 1 kilometre from Flanagan's Main to Flanagan's East. And at Flanagan's East is up to 134 ppb gold in soils that has never been tested. So this particular prospect is over 2.5 kilometres of highly anomalous copper gold results and has never been drill tested. So this area will be a focus for the company, and we're very excited to start drilling here at the end of next week.
Henry, when you say it's never been drill tested, is that just because Queensland's a little bit underexplored? And I just want to, if you can share with us why you guys like this particular area. How did you guys come across it?
So we acquired this project from Zenith last year, and we like this particular prospect mainly because it's the high-grade nature of the structurally controlled ore. But historically, this area has been difficult to work in because it's central Queensland, it's a very fertile farming area. However, we have a very good relationship with all the landholders and have access agreements in place. And the landholders are helping us out with all of the earthworks as we speak. So we have been able to gain access to the area and unfettered access, which is the main reason, while companies have probably had not as much success in the area. But there are a number of prospects within the wider tenement area that really haven't been followed up, mainly due to focus in other areas in Queensland, like Mount Isa and up in the northern parts of Queensland.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is where we'll start drilling in a couple of weeks' time. So this is just a few photos of the outcropping ore. We can see on the left-hand side is highly altered, that's diorite host rock with high-grade gold. And then we can see copper oxide mineralization at surface, which is very typical of porphyry-like deposits, and has got us very excited, obviously, because it's never been drill tested. So moving on to Great Black Ore, which is the southern flank of the central magnetic high feature. A lot of historical drilling has really been focused on a 200-metre area, while our recent work with soils and mapping, as well as the drone magnetic surveys, defined a curved trend around the southern flank of 1.8 kilometres coincident soil and outcropping mineralization that is associated with these demagnetized structures. And so a number of drill holes were drilled in an area of historical workings. And as I was saying before, returned some quite high grade results with 2 meters at 9% copper and 2 grams per tonne gold within a wider zone of 12 meters of 1.8% copper and 0.5 gram gold. However, this drilling was done over 30 years ago and is open in all directions and has never been followed up. So we're also going to be focused a lot of the drilling along those extensions and also testing some of these high-grade soil anomalies. So this is just a conceptual model of the mineralization that we put together, and we can see at surface is high-grade copper and gold that is related to these structurally controlled lodes, quartz sulfide calcite lodes. And this is very typical of porphyry-like deposits where you get structurally controlled zones and then a deeper porphyry that hasn't been tested by the historical drilling to date. And with our drill program coming up, we plan to test some of those deeper porphyry targets. So here's just a few photos of the outcropping mineralization and the historical collars in the concrete block there, and then some of the rock chips that we collected. So the regional prospects across the project, while most of our work will be focused around this EPM here, we've also defined up to 22 prospects today that are high priority for the company, and particularly the T2 prospect, which is just here in the northern tenement, which has recently been granted. And so historical channel sampling returned 20 metres at 2.6% copper, and then another zone 350 metres to the south returned another 20 metres at 1% copper. So we believe this is an extension of the Queensland mine, which is owned by Renou Resources, and it's a VMS type system with skarn-like characteristics as well. And then there's a number of other prospects in the area which will follow up in the coming months. So next steps for the company is to get underway with our 3,000 metre RC program. That's due to start at the end of next week. And then we'll continue the regional assessment across the project, as well as extending out the soil program that we started at the middle of the year. And that's it.
Oh, go back to that previous slide, because I like that one. That's the one that I like a lot.
Yeah.
Why Bindi? So, because that kind of sums it up, Henry, if you like. So don't jump over that one. You like the belt, you like where you are because of the high grade gold, but it's also got high grade copper.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess the question is, let's leave it on this for the moment, because I really want people to take that in. And also for those that are watching, if you've got a question, we've got a little bit of time now. If you've got a question, pop it into the Q&A. I've had some questions come in advance. The first one is saying that magnetic anomaly looks really encouraging. Does it coincide with surface sampling that would indicate movement of minerals from the depths where the anomalies occur?
Yes, so that's a good question, actually. And it is so simply, it's a lot of the surface anomalies coincident around the rim of the magnetic high is structurally controlled. And this is very typical in porphyry systems. And those, the magnetic high is where all the high grade copper and gold is at surface.
How deep do you think that this could get?
Well, it's something that we'll test in the upcoming program. And so we'll use a lot of different geochemical ratios to see what alteration we're getting and guide that towards the more potassic part of the system. But you know, there's a lot of high grade moly at surface, you know, 500 ppm plus. So molybdenum generally doesn't move a lot in porphyry systems. So we think, you know, we're relatively close to where the porphyry sits.
Okay, you're going to be starting an RC drill program. I think you said 3,000 meters from memory in the next couple of weeks. What's the budget? Because you listed in June, you've got some money in the bank. What sort of budget are you going to be expending over the rest of 2022? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so the RC program would be somewhere in the order of $1 million. That's fairly typical for those 3,000 meter programs. And then we'll probably spend another $500,000 following up other projects and potentially do some diamond drilling as well. So, we're well funded for the next 12 months, and we'll have a bit of cash in the bank to spare.
I've been talking to a few people, Henry, over the last couple of days and some of them have been a little bit frustrated about lab results, assay results coming back. What's it like up where you are? Are they on?
The backlog is easing a bit. It is, in the last 6 months, it's been quite hard. We've been waiting, 3-4 months in some cases, but we recently got some samples sent in after a mapping program and got priority results within a week, and then assays should be within 6 weeks. So the backlog is getting better, and we expect most of the results from this program to come before the end of the year.
You said that these projects came from Zenith. Have they got any interest in the project, or was it a complete sort of, we're going to take these on because you've got too much on your plate? Yeah,
so we're 100% owners on the project, and then Zenith have taken a slice of the IPO.
Okay.
So they are a major shareholder of the company and very supportive, and are excited by our exploration today.
All righty. Well, that's Henry Renou, Bindi Metals, one of the new kids on the block, but actually in a really interesting area up in Queensland, Biloela. I think I got that right this time. He's executive director, but more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, he's the exploration manager and is out there putting his boots on the ground. For now, thanks so much for joining us at the NWR Resources Conference.
Thanks, Gary.